Hello everyone. I hope you all are amazing, doing great. Your studies are going great. So today I'm here to discuss the RTP. Yes, the RTP Institute has released for the September 24 exams for the inter exam. And today I'm going to discuss it with you. You must have solved it, you might not have. If you have not, you must definitely go this. If you have, maybe it will give you clarification some of your doubts. So let's just get into it. So the first case scenarios, I'm not going to read the case. I'm just going to go to the question and whatever required, I'll just come back to the case. The case scenario, it is evident that Tejas Limited decided to issue 1 lakh pref shares of 100 to the existing shareholders. From the options below, choose the one. So we know that preference share can be issued for a period of 10 years, but if into infrastructure, 30 years. Sorry, 20 years, otherwise 30 years. I'm writing, he's saying 10. If you see here, they have undertaken infrastructure projects. So how many? 30 years. But there has to be a redemption of at least how much? Of at least 21% from, 10% from the 21st year onwards. So if you see here, the first option is 20% 31st. No, it is 10% 21st year onwards. The 10% 26th year. No. 10% 21st year onwards. Yes, this is the answer. Let's check the last one also. 20% 26th year. Not. No. The case scenario states that the turnover of Tejas Infra Limited rose to the tune of 3600 crore and net worth of the company stood at 550 crores in the immediately preceding financial year, which required formation of CSR committee. What is the which required formation of? Oh my God. What is the third criteria? So for CSR there are three things. What is There are three things: net profit 5 crores or more, then net worth 500 crores or more, and turnover 1000 crores or more, right? So turnover and net worth they have already given. What is the third criteria? Net profit. How much? 5 crores. So answer is C. According to the legal provisions, it is mandatory to redeem preference shares at the stipulated, keeping in view the above case scenario with sources. So when I want to redeem my preference shares, there are two sources: profits which are available for dividend first, and if I don't have, I can fresh issue and use that money to redeem the preference. So see, what's given here, out the profits which are available for dividend, yes. Out the proceeds of fresh issue, yes. Out of CRR, no. So both A and B. While constituting a CSR committee, how many minimum directors are required? Minimum three directors, of which at least one should be an independent director. So, shall have minimum two? No. Shall have minimum four? No. Shall have minimum four directors? No. So, it is B, minimum three directors, of which at least one is an independent director. What was the main purpose of the scheme? Okay, so here we have to read it. So, Greenfield LLP and Blue Wave LLP were two thriving businesses operating in the renewable energy sector. Greenfield LLP specialized in solar panel manufacturing, while Blue Wave LLP was known for its innovation in wind turbine technology. Both companies saw a strategic opportunity to join forces and create a more comprehensive renewable energy solution provider. They decided to merge into a single entity to be named, so they wanted to go for merging. To facilitate this merger, the management of both the companies proposed a scheme to compromise. So they want to go for what? Compromise and arrangement. Where all the assets and liabilities were to be transferred to EcoFuture, all ongoing legal proceedings were to be transferred to EcoFuture, and both Blue Wave and Greenfield would be dissolved. So, what is the scheme proposed? To dissolve the LPs, to liquidate the LLPs, to transfer the assets to the third party, or reconstruction and amalgamation. They have proposed the scheme of compromise and arrangement. And the purpose of compromise and arrangement is what? Reconstruction and amalgamation. So it is obviously what? Reconstruction and amalgamation. What authority does the tribunal have when it sanctions a compromise? So when the tribunal sanctions the compromise, it can actually supervise the compromise. It can give directions that this is not going fine. It can even modify the proposal. So it can supervise, modify, and give directions for the arrangement. What penalty applies? Generally, they don't ask questions like this on penalty, but here they have given it's B. Nothing to discuss here. Mr. X resided in India for less than 180 days during the financial year. He arrived in India. Okay. So I think this is a question relating to residential status. So whether the person is resident in India or not. In the year 2023, he stayed in India for less than 182 days. He arrived in India on 1st April 23 to conduct business and intends to leave the business on April 30, 24. So he has 23, 24. He is going to stay in India and he is going to what? Conduct business in India. Right? Now, we know that for residential status, things are required. Preceding financial year, current financial year. Preceding financial year, you should have stayed for more than 182 days. Current financial year, you come to India for any of the three purposes. And what are those three purposes that you come to India for? This employment, any other reason where the stay is for indefinite period of time. Here, did you stay in India in the preceding financial year for more than 182 days? No. You have stayed for less than 82 days. But are you coming to India for the three purposes? Yes. But we need to fulfill both the conditions. As per that, you cannot call him a resident of India. But it's very clearly given that if you are coming to India for any employment or business purpose, the moment you take the flight to India and in India, you will be considered as a resident of India, even if you have not stayed for more than 182 days in the preceding financial year. Even though the first condition is not filled, will he be considered as a resident of India? Yes. How many days he has? So, Mr. X's residential status for the financial year, he is a resident of India. How many days did Mr. X stay in India during the financial year 23-24? He stayed till April 30th, 24. He was doing business. He was going to leave on June 30, 24. So obviously, he has stayed for how many days? 365. He stayed for a year. So resident 365 days. This is your answer. Okay. Apex Manufacturing is an industrial company based based in India. Recently, the company found itself embroiled in legal issues concerning two separate offences under different enactments. The first offence involved a violation of environmental regulation for which the company was prosecuted and fined. Subsequently, Apex Manufacturing was charged under different law for a similar but not identical. When you have committed identical offence under enactment, you are punished for one. But here they have committed similar offence, but it was not identical. So will it be an as two offence? Yes. The first offence was under Environment Protection Act and for failing to dispose of hazardous waste property. The second was under Water Act involved discharging untreated. So first, because you did not dispose only hazardous waste property. Second was for untreated wastewater into river. Two different. Mr. Sharma, the company's legal advisor, consulted on the said issue. He declined the prosecution outlined in Section 26 of the General Clauses Act and Article 20 of the Constitution, which protects against double jeopardy. That means a person should not be prosecuted twice for the same offence. But this is not same offence. So, comment upon the validity of the protection given. Is it valid? No. So, A, C, D says it's valid. So, they are not the answer. It is valid. Regal Textiles, a well-established manufacturing company, has been operating under the Textile Regulations Act of 1980 for several decades. Over the years, various provisions of this act have been subject to interpretation by both the company and the industry at large. One such provision pertains to the definition of sustainable practices, which has been a point of contention. Sustainable practices to include the use of organic material and recycling waste products. This interpretation has been widely accepted and acted upon without any legal challenges. That is, this was the accepted. what it was accepted as a custom. Recently, a regulatory body has argued that sustainable practices should be strictly defined to include only carbon neutral processes, excluding the use of ouch, excluding the use of non-organic recycled material. This new interpretation has created fusion and potential compliance issues for legal techniques, which has long adhered to the established understanding. Established, that means it is like a custom, whatever is coming on. He prepares to argue that the long-standing interpretation of sustainable practice should be upheld. What principle? Obviously, he is trying to base it on custom, history. So it is the principle of historical usage, right? Now, moving on to the descriptive question. Prashant incorporated an OPC, making his sister Priya as the nominee. Priya is an Indian citizen. She was born and brought up in Kanpur. However, now Priya and her husband are leaving India permanently to stay with their son, who settled abroad for the last 15 years. Due to this, she is withdrawing her consent of nomination in the said OPC. Taking into consideration if Priya is leaving India permanently, is it mandate for her to? No. As long as she maintains her citizenship, right? As long as she maintains her citizenship in India, she need not withdraw her nomination. Obviously, she's no longer a citizen of India, we cannot do anything. But as long as she's an Indian citizen, she can continue. In case Priya withdraws her nomination, Prashant appoints his minor and Rushang as the nominee. No. Minor cannot be a member or a nominee of an OPC. In the light of the provisions of the Companies Act, discuss the status of Gram Pte, which is a company registered in Singapore that is conducting online business. It's a company registered in Singapore that is conducting online business through telemarketing in India without a physical place of business. So when we say place business in India, it can be physical or online. It is also informed that for telemarketing, business main server is located. So when we talk about business, business can be physical or online. When the business is online, it does not make a difference whether the server is situated in or outside India. Will it be considered as a foreign company? Yes. In continuation of above, Prism Limited, registered in India, a wholly owned subsidiary of Gram PT, decided to follow different financial year for consolidation of its accounts outside India. State the procedure. When a company is a subsidiary or an associate of a company incorporated outside India, it can follow a different financial year. And for that, it has to make an application to the central government. And on this application, when central government gives approval, they follow a different financial year, even if that financial year is 12 months or less. That means it can be less than 12 months also. XYZ Limited, a prominent manufacturing company, is in the process of appointing a new auditor for the upcoming financial years. Mr. A is a renowned auditor being considered for the role. During the due diligence process, the following details comes into light. Mr. B and Mr. A are partners in ABC and Company. Mr. B has taken a personal loan of 4 lakh from XYZ Limited subsidiary EFG Limited 6 months ago. So basically what has happened is XYZ is a company, and this company has a subsidiary EFG. Now A and B are partners of a firm, and B has taken a loan of 4 lakh from EFG. Mr. A's relative, Miss C, has an outstanding debt of 2 lakhs with DEF Limited, an associate company of associate. So this is subsidiary company, this is associate company of XYZ Limited. So Miss C is holding much loan, 2 lakh, right? This is 4 lakh. When it comes to appointment of auditor, if the person or his relative or his partner is indebted to the company or its holding subsidiary or associate or subsidiary of such holding, Exceeding 5 lakh, he cannot be appointed. Here, and see, when I say hold 5 lakh alone, I'm not talking individually, put together also. Here, partner has a loan of 4 lakh with the subsidiary. The relative has a loan of 2 lakh with the associate, both disqualified. Total holding 6 lakh, exceeding 5 lakh limit. So can Mr. A be appointed as an auditor? No. Mr. A is disqualified to be appointed as an auditor. Clear? O Limited served a notice of general meeting upon its members. The notice stated that the following resolutions will be considered at the meeting. Resolution to increase the authorized capital, appointment and fixation of remuneration of Mr. Pramod as the study auditor. A shareholder complained that the amount proposed decreased and the remuneration was not specified in the notice. Is the notice valid under the provisions of Companies Act? So under section 102, whenever the business is a special business, the company must give an explanatory statement giving all the additional information that may be needed to the shareholders decide whether to vote in favor of a resolution or not. Resolution to increase the authorized capital is a special business. And since it is a special business, an explanatory statement have been given. It was not given, so it is not valid. That means notice is not valid. Second, appointment and fixing of remuneration of Mr. Pramod, the auditor, is an ordinary business. And in case of ordinary business, do I have to give an explanatory statement? No. So no explanatory statement is needed here. But since the meeting is held, so this is absolutely valid. But since it is in the same meeting that we are going to discuss the resolution, and for the first matter, explanatory statement is not given. So put together, can I say the notice is not a bid notice, right? K Limited is in its first year of incorporation, maintain its books of accounts under the entry system of account. Is it permitted? No. Company prepare the books of accounts which must give a true and fair view. It should be prepared on a full basis on double entry system. Single entry system is not allowed. It is mandatory. It should be double entry system. If the person responsible for complying with the provision regarding maintenance of books and accounts, etc. of company. Who is responsible? The MD, the whole-time director in charge of finance, the CFO, any other person to whom the work has been delegated. RTP Private Limited, a company that has been operational for 2 years, was incorporated with the submission of false information and suppression of material fact. The company's founders, Mr. X and Ms. Y, provided incorrect financial statement and concealed significant liabilities during the incorporation process. This representation was recently uncovered during an internal audit initiated by the company's new CFO, Mr. Z. On discovering these fraudulent actions, Mr. Z has filed an application under the NCLT. Explain the provisions in fact where a company has been incorporated by furnishing false or incorrect information. So if after the incorporation of the company, we come to know that the information given is false, then a person who signed the document shall be liable under section 447 of the Companies Act. And as far as the company is concerned, the tribunal can pass any orders. First, any order for the management, regulating the management of the company. Second, orders for making the liability of the member unlimited. Third, order for striking of the name of the company. Fourth, order for winding up. Fifth, any other order it deems fit. Before the tribunal passes any order, the tribunal must take into consideration the contracts already made, and so the company should be given an opportunity of being heard. LLP was registered under the LLP Act 2008 with the name that was later found identical to an existing company's name, XYZ OPC Private Limited. The similarity was not noticed at the time of registration, except the provisions of the Act in respect of the following when the name is identical. So when the name is identical, the company can make an application to the central government to order the LLP to change its name. On such order, the central government will order LLP to change the name. Within 3 months, the LLP must change its name. However, is a registered trademark proprietor of a registered trademark, he can only make an application within 3 years of incorporation. Now, formalities with the registrar of companies after the name change. Once the name has been changed within 15 days, the company should file with the registrar a notice of change along with order of civil government. The registrar will make the necessary changes in the certificate of incorporation. And in 30 days of the change, the company should, LLP should make changes in the LLP agreement. That is, LLP agreement was in the old name of the LLP, now the new name. General Clauses Act. Mr. Lal is an importer dealing in luxury perfume. Recently, a new enactment was passed which imposes a duty of 15% of the value of luxury goods. He approached you to explain him the provisions relating to take. Pro rata means that when any law has fixed any import duty, the import duty shall be taken on pro rata basis. That means a calculation on a lower or higher amount shall be taken on pro rata basis. Also help him to calculate the amount of duty on shipment of bottles of perfume, each is valued at $50. $50 ka 50% will be what? 7.50 into 100 bottles. That is $750 will be what? Duty. Interpretation of statutes. Imagine you are a legal advisor for a company drafting a new contract. One of the clauses in the contract states, notwithstanding anything contained in any other provision of this agreement, the company reserves the right to terminate the agreement without notice if the breach of confidentiality by the employee. Explain to the management of the company the meaning of non-obstant clause. Non-obstant clause means what? Notwithstanding. So what basically is a notwithstanding clause? A notwithstanding clause is basically that two or more provisions will run simultaneously, but whenever any provision conflicts this provision, then this provision will be more superior. Right? Notwithstanding means what? Let's say this provision says notwithstanding. We both are running together, no problem. But wherever this provision conflicts this provision will have supremacy. That means whenever there is a conflict, I will only be considered, nothing else will be considered. Mr. Arjun, an Indian resident, has been working abroad for the last 10 years. During his tenure abroad, he acquired foreign currency and held investments in foreign securities. So, can you actually hold foreign investments and foreign? Yes, when a person he is outside India, and while he is outside India acquires any foreign currency or foreign security, he can continue to hold them. Even after he comes back to India, he can continue to hold them. He also inherited a property located in New York from his late grandfather, who was a non-resident Indian. After returning to India permanently, he wishes to understand the province. So, if a person has inherited a property outside India from a person resident outside India, he can continue to hold that property even after he comes back to India. Can he also decide to sell the property if he wants? Yes. He can convert it into Indian currency or he can just retain foreign currency. So with this, we are done with the RTP discussion. I hope your studies are going great. Keep studying, happy learning and stay motivated. Thank you so much.